Hello, everyone. It is the 10th of September, 2025. I'm Nick with Quinn, and it's a Manga Talkie Day. How is everyone doing? How is every Quinn doing?
Oh, yeah, I guess it would make more sense if I answered as opposed to the audience, because we're actually in a
I
call
can't
that,
hear them.
yeah, you can't hear them. I can, though, and it haunts me at night. You guys need to stop dream sending me weird things. It's uncomfortable, all right? I'm good, Nick. I'm tired, but I'm good. Quinn's deep into school semester. I'm trying to study textbooks again. Those have so many words, Nick. Why do they have so many words?
I couldn't tell you. I feel like it's an inherent design flaw of textbooks that they have so many words.
Yeah.
Because it's very important to carry across the information contained therein. But you would think at this point that there would be more efficient means of doing that.
Yeah, when are we going to get the point where I can, like, take a pill, and at the end of it, I'm like, ah, I know chemistry now. Perfect.
Whoa, I know economy.
Although, I guess as someone looking to get into teaching, it's probably a very bad idea if there's a pill that just immediately makes you learn everything. That would mean my job is superfluous. So,
You're just going around being like, wouldn't it be great if we could just use AI to teach these kids?
yeah, you say that I have to do so much stuff regarding AI this semester of school. Like, there's like one class where that's half the school curriculum is just talking about AI and discussing it.
That's good to hear, considering. I mean, like, AI was really not a topic when I finished up my degree in accounting at the end of 2019. And obviously, there were other technologies that were brought up as points of concern, but it was like really more about hey, this could be used for like cyber attacks, or this could be used to breach the legal constraints of a contract and stuff. But yeah, that's gotta be a whole thing that people got to be educated in order to understand that. Don't do it. Understand the constraints within you are using it. I guess is a more responsible way of putting it.
Yeah,
Just don't do it.
I'll be honest. It does feel as though I don't want to use the term genie has been let out of the bottle and can't be put back in, but I don't get the impression that I'm going to be living my life going forward without AI existing in some fashion in my general proximity. It's going to be now coming down to finding what ways it's going to be used that's like okay, and then how do we find a way to, I don't know, there's so many levels. I don't want to bore people listening to this, but like there's also this level of like what even is an AI? Like you can call anything an AI at this point, even though some of them are just like sophisticated chatbots. But you know, unfortunately that is the branding that is stuck. So there are many conversations to be had.
I think it is more of an umbrella term than a lot of people realize. I think that they just think, "Oh, AI," and it's just like, yeah, but like the stuff that you do for all the different things that you tinker around with are all like very different tools.
And also, what we refer to as AI is kind of boring to get right down to it. It's not actually that
Compared
interesting.
to actual artificial intelligence, yes.
Yeah, I was like, this thing doesn't really learn; it just answers. And you know, again, I don't want to get into it. We got so much to eventually get to, but
just to finish up on the topic, when I was in high school, I had to write a paper for my theory of knowledge class, which if any IB kids out there are listening, a shudder just went down their spines. But the paper that I wrote was about the possibility, the potential of AI actually being created one day. And I went through my stuff, and the conclusion I came to in the paper, and I don't know how strongly I adhere to this conclusion now, is that because the brain is essentially made up of very, very simple machines, it's just that there's a ton of them, that you could conceivably construct a brain one day, because it's not like there's anything within it that is impossible to recreate. as long as you have the scale to do so. What I should have done when I wrote that paper was just, well, one day people will just take simple tools and call them AI, and then it'll exist.
Yeah, I mean, if you were anybody who's like, oh man, I wonder what it's going to be like when the machines, the AI come around, be like, I'm sorry, it's far more boring. We decided to just call like a call line help bot AI and say like, and done. That'll be $10 billion and 17 acres of land, please.
And a third of it will be driven by people just being horny. That's at least what.
Honestly, you know what? How are they using it to be horny? Do I want to know?
What do you mean? How are they using it to be horny, Quinn?
I don't. How are they using it to be horny? I don't.
They're making porn with it.
Oh, the art robots. You mean?
Oh,
I didn't know.
I mean, if it can write stuff, then I'm sure that they could use it that way too.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you can't go to like ChatGPT and be like, "Get me off!" like type, like make me feel horny, robot. Beep boop.
I'm sure as someone who doesn't use ChatGPT,
I don't know how this works. Yeah,
but I would assume that yes, that a lot of the wide usage bots would have constraints put on them in terms of the content that is allowed. So definitely not one of those. But there have got to be some adult sites out there that, just as the way it's used to make horny art, it's got to be used to make horny writing.
Yeah.
There are probably like people who have probably been using it to write like, smut fiction and stuff like that.
But Brala has told us that the joy of that is creating it yourself.
I don't know what to tell you guys. Like,
wild stuff. Well, unfortunately, we're not going to be talking about the ramifications and dangers of AI on this podcast. Actually, we might. Who knows? We talk about a lot of things.
Despite certain things. Anyway, magic.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Magic the Gathering. No, we're going to be talking about Ichi the Witch. Has magic people in it. Has no guns in it. Has no AI in it that we've seen yet. Yeah. So no transitions
what's
possible.
Wild is that if someone listens to this in the future, they'll just be like, I guess there was a shooting today. But it's like, we live in America, so like they'll be like, oh, and I guess that the sky was blue. Like,
yeah, I was like, that offers nothing really when you think about it. Yeah, we got Ichi the Witch to talk about, Nick. 49th hunt, a glass of water.
49th glass of water. And yeah, the server from the party has approached Jiki Shirane after her vision of being murdered by the World Hater Magic, and is just in her domain offering her a glass of water, which obviously she is, disturbed by. And I do appreciate how much more human and vulnerable she looks when she doesn't have her silly hat cap on. It's such a huge thing to her whole look.
Yeah.
She takes the glass from the waiter and pours it out on the floor because she's like, "Oh, obviously I can't trust this," and demands to know who he is. He introduced himself as Hitsugi and formally introduced himself as a messenger from my lord and master, the World Hater Magic. And then he summons a staff in midair.
It seems as though the sound effect is shwip, not pwa. So
Pwa.
I think we
Shupwa.
Wait, is that the name of the creatures from Final Fantasy X? The Shupuffs? Supwas?
You're asking the wrong person.
Damn.
Hitsugi, who is in no way related to Sosuke from Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi, it seems, stomps the staff down and declares that the World Hater Magic says, accept no further prophecies that speak of me, and accept a different prophecy. Should you ignore this advice, you shall be erased from existence. And is specifically referring to the World Hater Magic as they. So I think that I'm going to have to adhere to the convention established by this and use they-thems for the World Hater going forward. Hitsugi continues on as Jiki Shirane recalls the vision that she just had about, being killed, and says, yeah, I can imagine, what you had just now, but don't worry. even your prophecies can be avoided if you take proper action. So leave the Matinal Witches Association and join the World Hater. And then that'll avert the prophecy, and you won't die. But
Sounds like pretty solid logic, Nick.
oh yeah, great deal. Jikashirane, however, recovers and goes back to her usual self. Like, oh no, that sounds so bothersome, and you guys suck.
I love that she immediately goes right back into sassy, passive-aggressive mode, like where she was before, where she's like, we're not friends. She's like, oh no, hon, I'm sorry. This wasn't like a you guys thing. I'm this way to everybody.
Yeah. And she says, no, I'm neutral, so I'm just going to do what I want when I want. And Hitsuki says, that is no longer an option to you. You have been permitted free reign during all of this because the Lord World Hater did not see your prophecies as relevant to them. But a new era has begun. Ichi the Witch exists. And the moment he was discovered, Lord World Hater could no longer afford to dismiss your prophecies.
Nick, they finally dropped the title on us for like the 8th time.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's one of those things where it's not like a super obtrusive title. It's not like with Bleach where they had to like awkwardly wait around for someone to do laundry or something like that.
They're like, are you sure that's a colored load? I don't think you need all of that bleach. And then they all pointed to it. It was literally every character from the series finger pointing to a bottle of bleach in a big circle. It's pretty cool.
You know the Invincible title drop that's done episode to episode, where like the term just kind of comes up and they go, "Pah!" Title drop.
No, what?
Invincible is an Amazon animated.
Oh, Invincible is the name of the series.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
But the Invincible is also the name of the protagonist's superhero alias.
Okay.
So. But like a lot of times, like people will be. This is a weird thing. Like I don't watch the show because I read the comic and was like, I don't want to put myself through that again.
Very fair.
But people will be talking like, "Oh man, he's so tough. He must be invincible." And the car comes down.
So
imagine that happening in Naruto. Every time the guy's name is said.
Hey, could you pass me the salt? Naruto comes down from the ceiling, crashes through, destroys the dinner table. Yeah, good stuff. Ichi the Witch title drop. Love it.
So Hitsuki says, I am here to bring you into the World Hater Magic service. So stop giving useful prophecies rather, to the Witches Association and stop giving them to Ichi the Witch. Oh, I did it again. And he says, if you do this, you will survive. Both of you. And as we zoom in on Jikishirane's face, it fades into the actual Jikishirane, the human host. As Hitsuki clarifies, you will survive and so will Jikishirane, your host, who resides in your magic circle, which is important establishment for a couple of reasons I think we'll talk about a little bit further later. But Jikishirane grabs Hitsuki by the collar and gets really scary looking and says, do not even think about going after her, you scum! And Hitsuki plays it cool, and it's like, yeah, you can prevent it happening. I just want to deliver a message. Bye! Slinks off, tries to be all smooth again, like he's not running the hell away.
Yeah.
And says, I will be visiting again soon. I look forward to hearing your response. And is gone. Jikishirane looks around and observes the warping remnants from what seemed to be a vision before, but they're there, so maybe not quite 100% all of that. So Hitsuki is back through the portal and just back in the Witches Association. It's the same portal that Jikishirane popped through. And he thinks to himself like the reaction that she had and says they must have been more contaminated by humanity than expected. And it's like that sucks because the Witches Association, it steals magic's freedom. It's a giant prison. all those detestable witches control and enslave the rare, glorious beings known as magics. Just standing inside this building makes me physically ill. And it's like, humanity sucks. Hope they die. But he's like, all right, time to go home. Got a report to give. And as we're following him, our point of view gets closer to him until you turn the page and Desscaras is tapping him on the shoulder. It says, hey, Mr. Waiter, could you get me a glass of water? And then draws her sword and stabs him. He gets out the staff again and manages to block it, but it sends him flying into the wall, cratering it. And Desscaras goes, oh, wow, that's weird. What's a waiter doing with a nasty-looking staff? Oh, no, I'm scared. Better throw you in prison. Desscaras is so awesome. She's so great. She's so funny. I love her.
Yeah, I think it's very cool to see her come in and have a little hero moment, a little comeuppance for this guy who came in and threatened a character who like immediately was like, oh, I care a lot about Jika Shironi. Like she's just seems cool. I like the prophecy magic part of her, and there's a lot of insight to come from this little glimpse we see of the real Jiki, so to speak. And you know, when you see them get threatened, you're like, ah, man, is this little jerk gonna get away? And it was very cool and satisfying to be like, nah, Desscaras is gonna go whoop him a little bit. I guess we'll still remain to be seen if this guy is going to be a recurring character of any kind, or he might just get wasted into dust here. Who knows? But you alluded to the fact that there's some stuff to dig into, and the fact that we find out Jiki is inside of Jiki's magic circle, essentially, quote unquote, the prophecy magic circle.
Yes.
I know some people in our audience have pointed out that Jiki Shironi's room is completely empty. It's a giant circus tent with nothing in it, not even a bed.
Yeah.
And she before was just speaking about how she's like, oh, I had to be awake for this. That sucks. It seems as though she doesn't keep anything in there because she just sleeps, where she could spend a ton of time with her magic circle, which is full of books and butterflies and things like that, as we can see from that image. Obviously, yes, the joke is that these are two people in love. We don't know how that works in the body that they physically share with one another. Who knows? But I do like all the they were magic circlemate jokes and stuff of that nature.
They were headmates.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to observe just from this page in terms of the context that we get just from it, and then of the wider details we've been given. Yeah, Ichi goes to his magic circle when he's been knocked unconscious. So yeah, if Jiki Shirone is sleeping all the time, that means she could very well just be spending her time with Jiki in this case. Her magic circle is very different from Ichi's magic circle. Ichi's is like a forest. Hers is like a library. So seemingly it reflects the person's individual personality and background in a way. And most importantly, Jiki is seemingly happy there. We see her very pleasantly, just hanging out inside this library space. She's surrounded by books and butterflies and stuff.
I cannot stress how happy I would be just in a giant library full of books that just has gorgeous butterflies flying. I can't imagine maybe a more perfect environment than that.
Absolutely. Everyone in the world who was like, I would marry the beast if he gave me that awesome library is like, I would let this prophecy magic reside in my head if it meant I got to have this library in my head.
I'll be honest, he doesn't even have to give me a library. There's a lot of things about Beast that has me being like, yeah, you know what, I should go along. If nothing else, just be like,
so
yes, nicely. I mean,
no,
he kidnapped me, but in a way that's asking politely, I still have both of my kidneys, so he's a nice guy.
I remember seeing a thing about the Disney version of Beauty and the Beast. There's all the critiques of it. It's like, oh, she's just like
Belle,
fucking Stockholm syndrome. Belle's got Stockholm syndrome, and it's like, no, she doesn't, because the Beast changes. All y'all who are like, I can fix him, can't stand to see someone getting fixed. Anyway, and my last note is this kind of also sets establishes an idea of, hey, the magics in your head could also potentially maybe take over. Is it just an exception where, because of the terms of, Yukishirane being bedridden and comatose, that this could happen with the prophecy magic, or if they're all residing in the magic circle, is there a way to kind of like switch over? But yeah, I like a lot of the details that we get in this very quick glimpse of it. That really does a lot to change our view of the prophecy magic as a character. And then we had this really exciting finish to it. So
yeah,
excellent chapter.
Very, very good stuff. Liked Ichi the Witch a lot. Blue box, Nick.
Blue box. It's chapter 210. All in here. Chinatsu finished giving the commencement address for her graduation from high school, and then went to go and shoot some hoops in the gym, because of course she did, and of course Taiki went there to meet up with her. And he congratulates her on her speech, and Chinatsu looks around the gym and reflects, wow, no more going to school, no more wearing a uniform. But then when she turns to look at Taiki, he's recording her on his phone. And she says, why are you recording me? And he's like, oh, I just wanted to make the most of it. And she says, well, why are you only recording me? And he says, well, because it's your last day of high school. And Chinatsu's like, yeah, enough about that.
Basketball.
1v1 me.
Basketball.
No brain, only basketball.
I do kind of assume that in Chinatsu's mind, the constant sound of dribbling is going on. Like anytime she's thinking, you just hear like sneakers squeaking and like thump, 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 thump.
Like, so like her brain is that one video that they put out like 3 years ago to promote the series. It was like the YouTube channel where it's like, oh, it's the sounds of the gym and stuff. It's some lo-fi. It was like some lo-fi
lo-fi beats to play basketball and badminton too.
Basketball too, yeah. So they start playing, and they even set up the phone to record them playing, which is a very Gen Z but cute thing to do. And
bravo, they seem real confident in their camera skills, because like it's not even pointed, like the screen's not even pointed at them, so like they have to just be like, yeah, that's framed up nice. Like that's fine, that works.
That's covering the entire half court, we're good.
Yeah.
Taiki tries to shoot, and immediately Chinatsu knocks it down. And Taiki says, oh, come on, like, don't I get a handicap? And Chinatsu says, well, I'm hungry right now. Like, that's your own handicap, I'm hungry. So Chinatsu goes on offense, and Taiki says, okay, well, I'm good at sidestepping because of badminton. And she immediately gets past him and scores. Whee! And so they kind of reflect on some stuff, like, the way that Taiki would interact with Haru compared to how he's interacting with, a different senpai in her sport. And she says regarding that, I kind of felt jealous watching you getting to, play someone like that as much as you wanted. She scores again, and it's like, another one. And he's upset because she scored on him while they were in the middle of talking about something. And she's like, yeah, you let your guard down. No mercy on this. No mercy on her boyfriend. Great. But the next time that they play, she starts to slip, and Taiki catches her. She's totally fine, but she's like, yeah, I guess that it's, these just aren't my regular basketball sneakers. And she looks down at her shoes and is like, I've been using these for 3 years, all 3 years of high school. Before I knew it, the time had flown by. And, it's just one of the things where, like, damn, high school goes by quick. And she reflects on a whole bunch of stuff happening. The fact that they started talking to each other and living together in that span of time. And she thinks about something and says, can I do something? And she grabs him by the tie, and Taiki is like, oh, this is the place for that kind of thing. It's like, why not? Just whatever. The most that she's gonna do is kiss you, dude.
Yeah.
Oh no. But she takes off his necktie and replaces it with hers and says, now, even after I've graduated, it'll be like I'm right there with you.
You
Which
dorks.
is the most cutely dorky thing and the most dorkily cute thing. This is very sweet and dorky.
Yes.
Both. But she says, it's because you were there for me that I could get stronger. And she doesn't discount the fact that, like, you know, everyone around her contributed to that, but she says, I feel like I was able to be my true self because of you. Thank you. Aww. And Taiki's very grateful for that. He says, it really makes me happy knowing that I was able to be someone's strength and that it was the person that I like that I was able to do that for. But he also says, look, just because we're graduating doesn't mean this is the end. And he stands up, holds his hand out to her, and says, please let me stay by your side forever. Aww. Aww. And then she takes his hand and pulls him down so that they can kiss this time. But none of you can see it because we're pulling way back for this shot.
We actually, this is the shot where we actually get the camera angle that the phone was recording the whole time. And they're like, oh, we can't actually see anything with this.
Good thing none of these guys are going into media. Jeez.
We didn't know about that. Taiki could lose at Nashville. He's like, all right, I won't be a badminton player, but I will be a badminton recorder.
Very niche job. Yeah. They go back out and meet with all the graduating classmates and their
parents.
They and their parents.
You almost...
And Chinatsu's parents.
That's what I mean. Like, you think Chinatsu's parents would be like, hey, so what were you two doing alone in the gymnasium for the past 40 minutes?
You guys really worked up a good sweat. I was playing basketball. Tracks.
They're like, you know what? We can't refute that. We cannot refute that. If that wasn't what happened, that was a great pick.
Everyone kind of like went around waiting for them to come out of the gym, it seems, because they kind of figured that they would be there, which makes sense. And we get little shots of like the main people in Chinatsu's class that we've come to know, and little collages of some of their moments in the series as we, say a goodbye to them. And every one of them lines up at the gates of the school after they depart, and they bow towards the school and say thank you. Aw. Mm. And we close out on one last little joke, which is Nishida saying to Taiki, hey, why don't you graduate with us? And Chinatsu says, no, he needs to study. Because she don't mess around.
Yeah, it's a fun little chapter. I don't know if this was like necessary. I kind of got most of the gist of things after last week of the saying goodbye, but this doesn't make sense. This is Chinatsu kind of saying goodbye to the gymnasium in many ways, and we do get to share a very tender moment. I do actually really like the 2-page spread of the gymnasium because it really captures, I think, how big this facility is and how so many memories are being made in this space, because there's multiple teams all training here at the same time. There's, a ton of space that you would have to use just to clean up and all these different things. You're like, yeah, you know what? I can kind of see it. And, it works very well to that benefit. I really enjoy the nostalgia building in their moments, like all of them kind of recognizing this is the last time we'll do it. It's nice.
Yeah, it's also, I feel like one of those kind of chapters that reminds you of what helps to really separate Blue Box from a lot of juicy drama, high school romances of its ilk, which is that, you have a lot more time to just kind of sit and enjoy the thing that they're working towards. You have these moments of accomplishment and stuff, as opposed to, and now let's move on to the next situation where somebody steps in it and ruins their chances of being happy, as opposed to, almost every other shonen manga we've had that deals with that kind of thing.
Yeah. All right, Nick, let's talk about Dandadan. This is chapter 208. Who's the real ninja?
Who's the real ninja?
Nick, who is the real ninja? Nick, top 5 ninjas go.
All 4 of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Ryu Hayabusa.
Oh, no space for Ask a Ninja. He doesn't get on the list.
I was never a big Ask a Ninja guy.
Nick,
I thought that some of the
he's a
videos
Tig
were
with
very
Tig
good.
alumni. How could you?
I guess that he was.
There was
Yeah,
a
you're
very
right.
brief period of time that Ask a Ninja videos were posted there. Yeah.
I was a big fan of the Dr. McNinja webcomic, though.
There you
That
go.
was fun.
There you go. The real answer is, of course, Sub-Zero. So, Nick, the chapter opens.
All 5.
Yeah, all 5.
We're
I think
not even Sub-Zero and the Sub-Zero clones, just Sub-Zero.
Hold on. I think I can get to 5. This is like Kingdom Hearts, where you're like, actually, 6 of the characters are Riku. I think I can name 5 different Sub-Zeros in a way, because there's the original Sub-Zero, Sub-Zero's younger brother, Frost Sub-Zero, Frost, which is female Sub-Zero, Cyborg Sub-Zero.
Oh, yeah.
And then new version where Sub-Zero is now Scorpion from the new timeline.
Interesting.
The actual person, it's Ben Bihan or something like that, or whatever Sub-Zero's name is supposed to be. He's now Scorpion. Anyways, I got it. I'm very impressive. I know all the lore. Anyways, Dandadan, Momola, and Momo are gonna fight a chameleon ninja building. I think castle.
Yes.
Gonna be very exciting. So we start with Momo flying inside of Momola. And do noting, hey, Momola, are you aware of me? And Momola says, yes, the suit detects you. We see that she just shows up as like a outline, basically. Can't actually say anything more than that, but very cool stuff. So, boom, create empty space.
Enoch Chuck!
Have a big kaiju fight. We get a big, invisible ninja attack. And, Momola tries to go and punch the castle, but it dodges. And they're like, wait, can he see us? And he says, yeah, that doesn't work on me. You're using retro-reflective projection technology, and my kite ninjas disrupt retro-reflective projection technology. Hard counter.
They
Nick.
reversed the retro-reflective projection technology.
Craziness. A bunch of fireworks start going off all around them as bombs are thrown from the kite flyers, and they're being hit by these fireworks. Momola notes that the suit's endurance is dropping, and if it falls to 0, the, quote, suit will go all floppy, and we won't be able to use any of its powers. We get, an image of the suit.
Momola will go jeepers.
Yeah, it's really, truly, it's Momola staring at it going, jeepers! It'll also take a full day for the endurance gauge to recover, so that's really, really bad. Fireworks still going off, hitting it. The great Camelio, or whatever his name is, Chameleon Ninja, is basically just taunting at this point, because he's just like, you fools, I am a true ninja. A phony like you can never compare. And he's dodging all the attacks. Momola's trying to do a whole bunch of uppercuts, kicks, punches, all this sort of stuff. And it's just jumping around him. It's dodging everything. And he's just taunting them like, oh, you're not hitting me at all. Not like my attacks. My attacks are hitting you like crazy with my Sakura Riot. And all these bombs are being thrown, hidden. And it looks bad. It looks like the suit has been defeated. It flops to the ground. Our evil chameleon guy starts stomping on the suit, being like, you half-wit. We've determined I am the real ninja. There's no way you could ever beat my might. I continue stomping until the suit has gone, as Momola said, all floppy style, it looks like. It's just laying motionless.
Just totally pancaked on the ground, yeah.
Yeah, it's Yamcha cratered at this point, basically. And, Chameleon kind of notes like, ooh, I might have killed you before I could actually take your powers. Oh, well, I'll just hand your corpse over to the Serapents to discuss. And, then a little voice says, hey, what the heck do you think you're attacking? And the chameleon's like, wait, where's that voice coming from? Huh? And the voice is like, you don't talk like a ninja, really. And he's like, how dare you? Come out and I shall kill thee. And it's like, no, we know you don't talk like a ninja. Anyways, we're inside of you. And we see Momola dropping these orbs all around the insides of this castle. And it looks like Momo has used the opportunity when the suit was being bombarded with all these fireworks to go and grab some of her own and then launch the two of them inside so that the suit just became a decoy, essentially. And this stupid idiot fell for it completely. He's very upset. He starts flipping around in the air trying to shake them out at this point. But as Momo says, not a chance. Even when we caught in a typhoon, we managed to hold on to the airplane. So even though it's a feat that is absolutely absurd, it does make sense. Previously today, they did hold on to an airplane during the typhoon. So yeah, can't shake them off. And Momo notes, they're not going to do this. Not you people. Not after what you did to my grandma. So we end the chapter with a big 2-page spread of Momo's Moe Tri-Beam fired, and it ignites all the explosions. And I think this dude's dead. And also, I believe that castle, which is a real historic landmark, is also destroyed.
Oh, well. It's fine.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
I was a little bit taken aback by this chapter because it sort of seems like, well, I guess Momo and Vimola just won, which would mean that their fight lasted way less time than the previous fights in this arc, if that's the case.
I will be very grateful if that's the case. I want this cursed storyline to kind of get wrapped up.
I feel like that's kind of going to be the other shoe of it, is that although, yeah, they won the fight, it doesn't mean that Momo has won.
Momo's stuck.
She's got that to deal with.
Even though it was a quick fight, she's like, ooh, maybe I should have told Gigi to wait a second. I think I actually could have.
Isolated from everyone, and Vimola's suit doesn't work, so they don't have a quick means of getting back to the temple.
Yes.
So they are in a dire situation here for her. And also, Vimola's not even going to be able to help her, presumably, that much.
Yeah, she doesn't have
the suit to detect her.
Yep. Very, very much so. So, interesting stuff.
I think my favorite bit is of the chapter is the back and forth they have with the chameleon ninja when they're inside of him. When he's so confused, and then Momo's like, "Thou dost not speak like a ninja." Thee, thou!
Thee has offended thy ninja honor. And they're like, "Shut up! You don't talk like a ninja." And he's like, "No."
And then when he's complaining, like, "Stop! Get out of me!" and Momo goes, "I wonder what organ this is." So yeah,
fun he's like, "No, not that. My room of testicles."
Let's just keep them all in one room.
I have thousands, and I just keep them all in one room. That way no one can hurt them.
Do we want to talk about some of the extra stuff that happened this week? Or the bonus chapters for a few things?
Sure, you could talk about that. I will also say that I want to talk very briefly about the new series that's going to be running for a couple months in Shonen Jump. This is the Jujutsu Kaisen sequel, Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo? I don't know how to pronounce it. But this is a story by Gigi Akutami, but then the art is done by Yuji Iwasaki, who did Cypher Academy recently. This is Jujutsu Kaisen, 68, 69-ish years into the future. So essentially, everyone is dead. Yeah, I wonder if that was intentional. Essentially, everyone seems to be dead from our previous cast, or if not, they're very, very old. No one shows up directly. But our main characters, for example, are directly descended from Yuta, who got together with Maki, it sounds like. Good for them, I guess. It from the rip is about aliens. So how you will enjoy that as a fan of Jujutsu Kaisen, I believe, will be kind of up in the air. It is a bit of a shock, but Boruto might have just put a bad taste in all of our mouths. The lead characters are fun. We get a couple of siblings as our protagonists, which I'm always a big fan of, and they have a very interesting relationship in that there is a love there, but there is also a lot of animosity, it seems. And I think that is very, very cool. There are some fun lore tidbits in there. A ring from the Gojo family is a very significant object. There is a lot of cool things. I will note, even though I am, more of a fan of JJK, I think, than, you are or anything like that. I don't think I'm going to be following this series, if only because I'm not that into JJK, and I already feel like I have too many things that I'm trying to do, so I don't think I'm going to be getting around to it. But I do think that there are some really cool things that they're doing in this. I love the art. I'll be honest, that was one of the things I always thought was one of the harder parts of JJK for me to get into. Akutami's art is more clean and maybe feels wrong for JJK, but it looks so good. The lead character Yuka looks amazing the way she's drawn in this series. So I'm very excited to see some of the art in it, and I'll probably very lightly follow it. I don't know if it'll come up on the show, but if it does, maybe we'll do a bonus podcast or something about it.
Okay. Yeah. There was also a Kaiju number 8 side mission thing that got posted. This was either something that originally would have been written earlier, or it's adapted from a bonus episode of the anime. I'm not sure exactly what the order of it is, but I saw the bonus episode of the anime long before I saw this chapter. So that's my familiarity with it. It's just basically a matter of hey, everyone's got a day off, and Hoshina is doing something weird. So all the people in Squad 3, except for Kafka, are trying to figure out what's he up to and stuff. And it turns out it's that he's arranging an event for kids who are in an orphanage. And then at the end of the chapter, there's a kaiju attack, and everyone rushes off to go and be big heroes. And all the kids are like, "Yeah, go get him, yeah." And turns out the whole time Hoshina knew he was being followed, and was just kind of like, "Oh no, it's good for them to do this." But I really had sour grapes for this, not just because of the way that Kaiju number 8 ended in general, but also because the second season of the anime, there's something wrong with it. I don't know what it is. There's something going on with the audio production of the series. It sounds incomplete and quiet and weird, and there are no good. There are sound effects that seem like they're missing from battles.
What?
It feels like.
I feel like at some point we are going to have to someone's going to have to do a deep dive into what happened to Kaiju number 8. I feel like that was a series that bursted out of the gate. There was a bunch of attention to it. It was immediately kind of getting a lot of news and everything like that. And then the manga kind of very quietly kind of was oh, it's ending. And then also why is the anime not getting that support? I would have assumed this is a series that they're oh, well, this is gonna make easily slam dunk. We'll just put everything into it. I don't know.
It's weird. It's annoying to watch it, because I'll be watching and there will be massive monsters and huge explosions and gunfire going off them, and I'll just be like, man, the dialogue is drowning out everything. They've tranked down the balance on everything so much, it feels like you're not in a battle scene. It's weird. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a matter of they were expecting it to be really, really big, and it didn't really quite hit those highs. And so they're maybe we'll not put as much into the production of this. And then there's kind of a lacking in the production.
Yeah.
Something, I don't know. But
Bummer.
yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah. Let's do our regular manga again, though.
Yeah.
We got Hima-Ten to talk about. Chapter number 57, Hime no Tor Kanna.
More like Hima 57. Am I right, Nick?
No.
No, but it is, because it's chapter 57. Oh, yeah.
But her name is Hima no Right.
Oh my gosh, that was really good. You did my pun, or your pun off my pun.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
No. So there's a little advertisement for Volume 5 of the series being released in Japan, featuring Himari, continuing to be soon for Iamori. And we cut into the scene that we left off at the end of chapter 56, which was Kanna discovering that Hima-No is Iemori's next door neighbor, which has really, really pissed her off. And she turns to Iemori and goes, "Why didn't you tell me?" And of course, he has to say, "She said it was a secret. Why are you upset with me?" And Kanna says, "Well, because you're supposed to be my fan." And she's like, she's a freaking ex-top idol, and she's now a TA, and she's your neighbor. Do you realize what kind of setup this is? Every high school boy in the country would stop, drop, and fall in love with her, which is a really weird way of wording that.
Uh-huh.
But Iemori's like, well, that's not what's happened, though. And Hima-No, of course, notices what is happening, and says, like, I thought I saw you two plan to do something. And she kind of gets like a little mischievous look, like, oh, I think it's a good thing that I decided to drop by. And Kanna, with the sound effect of Kanarg, goes, what is that supposed to mean? And Hima-No gets, into teasing mode and says, oh, I can't believe you tried to sneak a girl into your home. And Iemori's like, that's not what happened. And Kanna's like, that is exactly what happened. I came over because you invited me. And Kanna steps up and says, Iemori's my fan, and the Iemoris are basically my host family, so step off. Oh no! I feel like I like this more than just her being like, "Oh no, she's gonna outshine me." I like it more when it's like, "Don't try and outshine me. Fuck you, get away."
Eat shit! I'll kill you if I have to. I'll rip your face off, slut. You're like, whoa, Kanna, stop.
But Hima-No, who of course has talked to not just Iemori, but also Kanai, and who has been observing Iemori's interactions with the girls to this point, has basically now figured out, okay, I know who the three girls are now that he is having all this difficulty with. Okay. And she, plays it cool and says, look, you guys are all my students. I just want to, be there and help support you. And she says to Kanna, I want to be there for you in your career. And this immediately briefly disarms Kanna, like, oh, really? No, I can't trust you because you used to be an idol. Which I kind of understand, because being an idol in Japan kind of means lying all the time about who you are, in a way that's kind of depressing. But again, Hima-No does not, she doesn't get into the aggressive act. Why would she? She's got no stake in this to fight over.
Yes.
She says to Iemori, make sure that she gets home before it gets dark. And he's like, yeah, she just wanted to see my siblings. And she teases him a little bit more and gives him a wink on the way out, and kind of goes, that's an idol's wink. Weaponizing this. They head into Iemori's place, and Kanna says, God, Hima-No's ridiculous. I'm always and she excused her behavior by saying, I'm always like this with professional rivals, and she's on a different level. She's basically a princess, and she starts to get self-conscious now that she's not around Hima-No, and says, maybe this is gonna get beyond school. Maybe she's gonna steal my spotlight with your family, which is, she's 15. And had confidence issues before. I get that.
Yeah.
And just as Iemori's gotten done reassuring her, they go inside, and his mom's there and says, "You're home? I just met up with Miss Hima-No, your teacher. Oh, Kanna's here. Oh."
You almost she was a step away from just being oh, isn't she so attractive? Oh, she looks so good. Really, she should be doing the pinup. Oh, no.
Kanna very obviously deliberately words things by saying that Iemori just asked her out shopping. And Iemori's mom, who clearly wants this boy to get his ass in gear, it's like, oh, really? Wow. And she's very pleased about this, and says, well, I'm just going to be in my room, so you're welcome to hang out in Tanishi's. All responsible parents do. It's like, all right, go ahead. Lock the door, please. But they go back to talking about why Ms. Himeno makes Kanna anxious, and she confides in Iomori that, I don't know, I kind of feel like maybe your family only actually likes me because I work as a model, which is a wild thing to think. But
this was a moment I was like, you know, maybe when Hima no goes away, the series, like, maybe I'll ultimately be okay with it, because like she helped these characters grow and become more interesting, because it's this moment where Kana starts to realize, she's like, what if I'm only ever appreciated on like one level, and the deep insecurity that comes with it. And I was like, man, I am so excited to see where the rest of this chapter goes.
Anyway, you want to look at this photo collection of Miss Himeno in a bikini, Iomori?
Yep.
This is the context under which we learn the names of Kanna's friends too. We're just like, yeah, Kyoko Michiru also wanted to see the teacher in her bikini. And Iomori says, you didn't want me to look at it though. And Kanna's like, well, things have changed. I know you wanted to look through it. And I mean, like, yes, he did. You can't really get away from that. And he says in a truly strange dialogue exchange, she's my neighbor. I can't look at that. To which Kanna replies, no, it's fine, since I'm the one showing it to you. I don't know how that makes any sense. Iomori looks through it. Yep, there sure are some sexy photos of Hime no. Okay. And he, has the realization of like, Jesus, yeah, she lives next door. And here she is. And Kanna is staring at him, judging him for any reaction the whole time. Let me tell you, when I look at an album of a hot lady, the thing I want more than anything else is a girl my own age to be staring at me judgmentally when I'm doing it.
Yeah, an attractive peer of mine to be staring me directly in the eyes.
So Iomori obviously gets embarrassed and says so. And so Kanna says, all right, we'll turn around then. And Iomori's like, what is this? What do you want from me? And she tells him, like, what do you honestly think? And he's like, because the shots really are impressive, but, and then shuffle, wha-bam! Kanna, how do I talk about this?
We don't have to. I do need to note, for our own sake, as we get older, especially, we don't need to necessarily comment on this. You guys know our opinions. This sucks, right? This is gross.
Kanna exercises her own sex appeal. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And demands no.
I should be clear. I don't have an issue necessarily with it. I have an issue as, someone in my mid-30s having a teenager strip in a comic for me is an uncomfortable thing. I'm not the audience for this, but still, I'm not a fan of this.
Yep. There is talk of boobs being big. And Iomori understandably...
With Kanna?
Yeah,
but she just talked. She just talked in this chapter about how she was worried she was being reduced to her sex appeal.
Oh man! So Iomori gets obviously very flustered, hides his face, and is like, "My mom's home. Put your clothes on." And Kanna says, "I'm fighting to keep you as my fan." And Iomori says, "Well, then I absolutely can't look if I'm a fan. Because if you show it to me here, doesn't that devalue your swimsuit shots? You're just making this up because you're trying to get out of this situation. And you know what? Fair game.
Fair enough.
That's okay." Yeah, I don't believe you at all. But so, and Kanna's kind of like, you saw me at the beach before. And he's like, no, this is like different though. And it is. It absolutely is different to have a girl in a swimsuit at the beach hanging out with you, as opposed to hanging out in your room. Like, it's very different. But she's like, no, I want you to see me. And she's like very, very much like, yeah, I want you to look at me and stuff. And she says, are you a fan for life now? And they do have a moment where they look each other in the eye, and Iamori says, yes, of course, I always was. And that's the note that we leave off on. Very suddenly moving from boobs to trying to land the cute ending. There is, I feel like the best reaction I've seen to this was, I believe it was Kaneka-fan in our chat on the Discord, who said, there was a good heart to this chapter, but unfortunately, like with the human body, the chapter chose to put a pair of boobs in front of that heart.
Yes, that is a very good way of phrasing it. I want to like this chapter on like a nature of Kanna recognizing something about herself and the anxieties that come with it, and having like a connection with Iamori by the end of the chapter that helps her get through it. I feel like the way it was done though is not very good, because her anxiety is like, what if I'm not anything more to you than just a model? What if I'm like incredibly shallow? What if like now that I'm being upstaged in the one thing I'm good at, I no longer have anything that's valuable to me anymore? And it's like, no, Kanna, you're much more than that. You have a lot of things. And it's like, no, the way she gets through this is by taking her top off and showing how big her breasts are.
I haven't been outdone in the one category that I feel I have value in.
And I'm like, yeah, this isn't as strong of a sentiment anymore, unfortunately. I understand also there does seem to be a portion of this context that I think is maybe lost, not having the idol culture here that we have. The way she's referring to things like, are you a fan for life? And this very like important connection, like, oh, I can't see you like this in a personal way. Like, I think there's something there that we're just not going to get. But I just find all of this to be an underwhelming way of dealing with the very real concerns that Kanna just brought up. She is almost prophetic in this way of just like, I hope I won't ever be nothing more than just a sex object. Becomes a sex object. It's just not great.
Yeah, and it is definitely always a fine line when you have this type of character where they're like, obviously a big contribution that she makes to the marketability of everything in the series, that she is like the sexy big boobed love interest. Obviously, you can have a character who is like that is still incredibly well written. It's not a barrier to that. And in fact, if you have something to say about that, then you can in fact make the inclusion of those things be interesting and worth, looking to beyond just wow, that's hot kind of reaction. But I do think this exact way that it plays out is very much tripping over itself. I will say that the way that she deals with it can also be seen as a very human reaction, and maybe we'll actually come back to this stumble that she had.
Yes.
And because, it is like, this is like a way that people can react to stuff. It's like, is this the only worthwhile aspect of me? And what if I lose it? And then they're like, no, I haven't lost it. That's something that people do.
Absolutely.
And if we do ultimately go back to this and address this idea that Kanna has and have her deal with it in a way that demonstrates much more proper growth, then I don't think this is a lost cause. But this middle stage is certainly an awkward one. And it's especially awkward for the reason that, as you said, we are people in our mid-30s, and Kanna is canonically like 15 years old. So...
It's something. Don't worry, guys. This reaction will only get more and more uncomfortable the longer this podcast goes. We will only ever be more and more disturbed by this. I want to be like 70 years old and be like, Nick, they're still doing it. Get her out of here. Ooh, let's talk about...
Unbelievably, the teenagers who read manga still want to see titties. I don't understand it.
All right, Nick, now let's get to that new chapter of One Piece.
One Piece chapter 5374 by Eiichiro Oda's Clone II.
Skypiea again.
Things really went downhill once we went back to Laboon. We're still going, though.
And Frankie turned into a tank again, though, so I'm back on board. I'm #1 fan again.
All right. Oter of the Flame, Chapter 17, The Wicked Horn. Yeah, so a barrier went up around the ship that everyone's traveling on after a monster appeared, and Oter has detected that there is some sort of invisible enemy inside, which of course is the Wicked Horn. He managed to react to it kind of instinctively, but it's still out there. And the Wicked Horn thinks to himself, Doa Doa, I think was his name, that he has accomplished his true goal. And there's a big splash as seemingly something has escaped, and Filgia, who can detect the presence of Doa Doa, says the presence has vanished. So there's a character that, by the way, I've not really been saying anything about because they haven't really made any meaningful contributions to the chapter that they were in, which is there's this woman who is there as part of like the merchant team. And I don't even know if we've learned her name at any point. She occasionally is like one of the characters making like vague like comments and stuff that's going on, but hasn't really done anything like individual wise. But anyway,
let's call her Ruxky Whamhammer.
Ruxy McWhamhammer?
Yeah, old Ruxy. That's an old classic Viking name, isn't it?
It might as well be, right?
Yeah.
So good old Ruxy.
Ruxy McWhamhammer.
She the ship hits something seemingly, and she looks out on the water and is like, but there doesn't seem to be anything ahead of us. But they keep on knocking into stuff, and everyone realizes like there's some sort of invisible obstacle that we're ramming into. And Kutane assumes the rudder and says, "Hang on, I'll dodge it." And he like full on like Aquaman's this and just communicates with everything in nature around them to tell where all the obstacles are and just navigates them through them safely. Because he am a sailor boy and is very good at that. But Hugin gets a cut on his cheek. Very like narrow, invisible thing strikes him. And everyone's like, what's going on? Because like the barrier's still in place. What got through it? Where'd the attack come from? Oter summons some of his fire stuff, starts deflecting some things while Hugin is getting like death by 1,000 cuts next to him. But he realizes that they are being attacked by something, and he manages to spot it because some of his blood has gotten on it. And he casts a magic thing, revealing Rune, and notes that there are blades that are striking them. Blades that are basically totally invisible, and there is an assassin at work that is attacking them. And Filgia says that the presence that she must have detected before must have just set them all up ahead of time before they escaped through the other side of the barrier. So she says that like, okay, well, we need to like slow down and clean up all the traps. But Hugin says it's like, it's all right because now that I know I know how to deal with forbidden magic. And he takes out a feather and like in the air uses it as a quill and writes out with a bunch of various runes, blood-stained aurora. And this, like all of the invisible things are suddenly visible now, including Doa Doa, who is directly on the other side of the barrier, staring at Oter. In a shot that does make him look kind of creepy, but I don't know, I feel like we could have had a little bit more of an impact with that reveal of him to being directly in front of Oter. It doesn't feel quite right. I don't know exactly what it is. He is upset as his whole thing, like, oh, it didn't work, and he says, I came up with a countermeasure. Oh, I should have just killed them all, man. But he says, I guess it's okay, because I got to see all your tortured expressions. So he's all creepy. Hooray.
So his initial introduction had him being like, oh, I hope no one needs to rely on me. I'm so nervous. I'm so scared. And I was told that made him very Quinn-coded. And I've just perpetually held that forward, and now I'm judging that person because I'm like, what, do you think I'd laugh at other people's pain? Do you think I'm just like a little gremlin?
Yeah, he introduces himself fully and says, I'll perform the most craven things there are if it means I'll get to see someone get upset. I don't know, it feels like he could use like more extreme language there. I'll be an absolute coward to see someone be perturbed. Yeah, so he says that his habit is setting up countermeasures for everything, and even says like, yeah, the reason I'm talking to you and introducing myself is actually just to buy myself some time. And he holds out his hand, and there's this big swirling ball of energy that he says is Kutane Yorder's memories. He says that ancient magic takes time to cast, and he was casting it while he was still on the ship, and now it's just completed. And so as a result of it, he now knows where the tomb that they're headed to is, which means he doesn't have to let them leave alive. He can just go to it himself instead of following after them. And one of his giant worm things grabs a rock and throws it.
I was like, oh, we could do this? Oh, this is terrifying.
Just a rock that is, the size of a cliff and is about to fall on the ship and crush everyone as Dodo's like, bye. So everyone's like, what do we do? Kutane says everyone needs to get the boat out of the way. Etopirko says to Hugin to erect a barrier, and they're like, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And even Filgia's like, even if we used heroic vigor, we wouldn't be able to cleave it with my flames. So, fortunately, Ultra has a plan, and he asks Hugin to deactivate the barrier as he draws his new sword, the one that Syndra crafted for him. And we get more of an explanation of what is so special about it. As in the flashback, she says it's made from Viking metal, forged with filament fragments of the Iron Spirit. And that means that if he channels his flame through the sword, then it will be even more powerful than before. And sure enough, in the present, Ultra unleashes his Crimson Sword and just chops the whole ass cliff in half. And as we know, Quinn, if you chop a falling thing in half, it goes to either side of you safely, no matter what. And that is what happens.
And there's no consequence really to the waters that will be created after, like the waves. Those will be inconsequential.
Nothing capsizes the ship. They're fine, and they take off after Dodo.
It's not even clear if it was all that choppy for them. Like they didn't seem to have any more than they're like, whoa! I really think it just kind of landed in just like ripples. Yeah.
Just the two fragments of the island immediately become those like synchronized divers.
Yeah, the ones it just got itself as straight as possible and just sunk straight down. You're like, oh wow, that was beautiful, actually. This is kind of a cool scene. I kind of dig it. I think it's there's some cool visual elements, even though the rock doesn't make a ton of sense. We're saying rock. I think it's like a giant pillar of stone.
It wasn't just a rock; it was a rock lobster.
It was a really big rock, as Killer Croc said. I like the chapter. It's cool. I like what these characters are generally doing. I'm not like blown away by Oder, but like, I don't know, I'm going to kind of enjoy this extra time we're getting with it.
Yeah, it's a fun chapter. I do have some minor quibbles with it, but it was fun.
Yeah. Ping-Pong Peril!
Chapter 9, What You Refuse to Give Up. God. So Tyra thought he found the strategy to beating his former club advisor.
I completely forgot what happened in this chapter, and then I remembered, and I was like, oh, right. This chapter rips.
Versus Tsuji. You just hold the anime figurine, and it makes Tsuji not want to break it. So the score is very much in Tsuji's favor. But he's like, I'm gonna freaking kill you! You stole my figure. You stole Min-chan. You're trying to make me destroy her. How dare you! And he starts to just go around the table. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
He says, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you.
I'm gonna rip your head off. And Tyra's like, but we're playing ping pong though. And Musugi has to say, Rule 17 of Ping-Pong Peril, violence is prohibited. Asterisks all around. Like, violence is not prohibited.
Asterisk, unless you can do it in a cool ping pong way.
Right.
Like, if you can kill your opponent by hitting them with a ping pong enough, that will count. You can't just punch them, though.
Absolutely. You can also just turn a shower spray on your opponent that will knock them 20 feet that way, as long as you're serving ping pong while doing it.
As long as ping pong's occurring, pretty much anything is legal.
So Tyra is like, all right, should I just break the figurine here? Well, if I do that, then he'll probably still kill me, so maybe I shouldn't do that. And Tsuji's just like, give her back, give her back, give her back, give her back. But Tyra has an idea as he examines the damage that Tsuji has done to the table. And he's like, nope, I'm just going to use her to power me up. And Tsuji's like, I'm going to kill this kid when it's over. And so the match progresses, and Tsuji keeps on scoring points. He lands another one of his unreturnable smashes that craters the table. And he says, like, yeah, even a newbie can control their shots. So he's not completely without a sense of control over this power. So when Tyra puts the figurine on the table, he just strikes somewhere else. And he goes up to a score of 10-3 to the point where Musugi's like, damn, is this kid actually just going to lose at this point? What the hell? And Tsuji says, ha! You are a genius when it comes to ping pong, but a noob when it comes to Ping-Pong Peril! Goes up to 11-3, and of course it's first to 12, as the table's looking in really bad shape, and he's like, haha, 3 million yen and Momo Mikado's body. You are an adult. Stop that. Stop that. But Tyra calmly takes the field, and he starts to gently press on the table and says, we're not done yet. And as the table starts to crack more, Tsuji says, you're just being a bad loser. I've got 11 points, and the whole table on Tyra's side crumbles and splits apart and caves in. And he continues to play as he says, the ball still has to bounce, and scores a point on Tsuji.
Well, it's not just that. It's because it's first to 11.
It takes a point away from
It's first to 11. So he thinks he's won. He's like, I've gotten 11 points, dude. You've lost. And he's like, no. So yeah, he steals the point back.
The table splits, causing the ball to bounce, and then Tyra's allowed to return it. So what's revealed is that he wasn't randomly putting Minchan at random points. He was using it to force Tsuji to basically build a path of damage in a straight line that would cause the table to give way and break apart. So Tsuji's like, all right, I've just got to get one more point. But where? The table is completely gone on Tyra's end. So he's like, he can't get it in. He can't get it in. There's just no table to serve to. And he's like, what do I do? It's all cramped in. What am I allowed? How am I allowed to get it? And all he can really do is, if he gets the very top edges of the table, then yes, he can do it. But he's not a good enough ping pong player to do that. So he can't get to the very small surfaces to do that. So as Tsuji's going like, damn it, what do I do? Tyra steps up to him and says, I'm pretty angry with you right now. I'm angry with you because you made my sister the prize of this match, and you made me mad because I believed what you told me when you were that kind of person. I'm going to beat you so bad you'll be traumatized for months.
Yo, I like this dude. He's not like as wild as Yugi. Like, he hasn't threatened to murder anyone yet, but I do just kind of like that. He's like, yo, I hope I'm gonna really like make you just like traumatized from this. I really don't like you. You're a freaking weirdo.
I'm gonna traumatize you with ping pong. And of course, because he's got so little area that he has to defend, he can also just step right up to the net, confident that Tsuji's not going to get the ball past him into valid territory. So Tsuji, kind of collapses forward onto the table and is like, what the hell? Why is a guy like you playing Ping-Pong Peril? And he starts to bemoan his sad, pathetic life and says, like, being an otaku means you get picked on. You wouldn't understand the pain of being bullied by kids a generation younger than you and the hollow pain of having no choice but to laugh along with them. People only care about looks, popularity, and money. But I look good now, thanks to my Sushi brand injections, and I'm popular now as a teacher. Ping-Pong Peril is going to help me with the last piece. Money! This guy's pathetic, isn't he? Ugh. And Tyra calls him out on it and says, you say you want money? You also want my little sister's body. You're gross and rotten and you're going to lose. The ones who lose first are the ones who refuse to sacrifice anything. And Tsuji turns to his imaginary Minchan for guidance and goes, that's not true. And she's melting and you can see half of her skull.
This chapter was so good. I forgot about half these details.
So getting talked down to in this way has essentially, brought him down from his adrenaline high, and he's lost focus now. He can't rely on this vision of his anime idol figurine. So Mutsuki steps up to him, and in a stance that I can't believe she didn't see this coming, goes, if you aren't going to keep playing, that means you're okay with losing, right? And Tsuji's dick gets hard, all right? That's what happens.
Nick, come on. You're right. You're absolutely right. I do just love this girl who decided, like, she didn't need to show up in, like, the pencil skirt and the fishnets, but she did. And she walks up, and this dude just gets so bricked up by it that he's like, my testosterone's kicked back in. Oh, he Hulk smashes again. It's just so silly. I don't know how I just love it. I need to state it. I absolutely adore where this series gets its silliest ideas.
I do appreciate that Mitsuki also goes like,
Yeah, she's immediately like, oh, I know this dude just did something.
Oh no.
This dude just had a lot of untoward thoughts about me right now.
Tsuji gets up, and as he's getting up, he plants his palm on the table, and he completely shatters his half of it. So the table is gone. The table for table tennis is gone. As Tsuji says, all I wanted was a girlfriend. So Mutsuki's like, how the fuck are they going to play without a table now? Tyra seems completely unfazed and says, see, you're rotten. He's still down 4 points. Still has to find some way to score when there's no table to play on, essentially. And Tsuji says, she helped me get my mojo back. And Tyra says, wow, you don't even give a shit as long as it's a girl who does stuff for you. No patience for the man, as he shouldn't have. Wild chapter.
This series rules. This series rules so much.
It feels like every chapter of the series could be something you could tell someone about. Like, this wild thing happens, you got to read this series.
You don't understand. So it's a ping pong series. It's not really about ping pong. It's kind of about how much they can mess with ping pong, and it still kind of counts. By the end of the first volume, they're breaking tables. It's great. Yeah, super fun.
That's right, isn't it? This is going to be in volume.
This is volume 1. It's crazy.
Well, it might be volume 2 because it's chapter 9. But...
Chapter 9 is around where it is. It depends where they want to. They might throw that in there because maybe that's the more fitting jump into the next volume.
Yeah. But hey, Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi, chapter 59, Cross Paladins Unite.
Nick, do you love that sweet 2000s nostalgia with a Vote for Pedro shirt?
I was like, but how? When I saw that, I was like, wait, what?
This dude obviously watches a lot of movies. Like, he's named half of like all of Kiyoshi's attacks after them. So I think it's just like he's like, yeah, I'm a big movie nerd. But I got like flashbanged when I was like, wait, is that a Vote for Pedro shirt from Napoleon Dynamite?
Not even a little bit different from it, yeah.
Yeah.
I like also that Jack Joe has a Jack Joe tote bag for some reason.
If I could have a tote bag of my face, I probably would.
I would never have one of my own face. All right, so last chapter, Kyoko Kurogane announced that she was going to be resigning from the rank of Cross Paladin. We get some more details on this because there was definitely some confusion of like, how many Cross Paladins can there be?
Turns out
weren't
there's
they
only
taking
5.
exams for this?
Yeah.
There are only 5 Cross Paladins in the ranks of the Exorcist at any given time. So Kurogane is stepping down. That's why she wanted to name her replacement to be Kiyoshi. The call has been issued by the headmaster at a table that's shaped like a hexagon. So, himself and the five Cross Paladins can be sitting there. And they start to show up one by one. First one we see is this very large, very strange man, Megami Tenno, who really, really wants to marry Kurogane. That's his big thing. He's also got a very weird smile. And a completely unspoken of doll on his shoulder.
Yes.
Looks like Geno from
yeah. It does, like have a little bit of a Geno? Is that his name? Geno?
I never played it, unfortunately. So.
I mean, I don't think there was voice acting, right? It's like a Titus where it can kind of be either one, even though that did have voice acting in it.
Gino?
But they didn't say his name. Gino. It's probably Gino. That's a sandwich guy. That's not as magical.
So he immediately is like, "Oh, do you want to marry me?" And she's like, "No, I already found myself a good man." And so he's like, "What? You found yourself a good man? Then you will be marrying me." That is a good joke. I do like that.
And not for nothing, he's like 8 feet tall. Why wouldn't you want to marry him? Like, come on.
All right, Quinn.
I just mean, like, isn't that like a logic? Like, he's the tallest man, surely. He should be married.
Why doesn't the largest of the friends simply marry all of the others?
I don't understand. Is that not how this should work?
Tsurugi is also there, very silently takes his seat, has nothing to say to anyone until Kurogane addresses him and his injuries. She asks, "Where's your older brother?" And he says, "Who knows?" The headmaster says that they are going to hold a vote regarding Kyoko Kurogane's successor. But obviously, some people are missing. 2 of the seats are empty, including the one for Shishido. And the headmaster says, "I couldn't get a hold of him, but we'll make do with you 3, since they have enough in order to have a majority vote with that many people at least." So Kurogane kind of repeats her explanation for why she's stepping down. She says, "Look, I was defeated by the Great Demon Lord. I want to focus my efforts on my unit. And that's going to be the focus I have instead of my duties as a Cross Paladin. And I recommend Kiyoshi Hirai for that position, since he is the one who exercised the Great Demon Lord." And so, short and simple. Tenno says, "I object to this because, yeah, sure, he may have exercised Astaroth, but he only succeeded because you wore the Great Demon Lord down." And she is immediately like, "No, that is absolutely not true." We all saw that fight. That's not the case, and it's good of her to be humble and self-aware like that. Tenno also points out that Kiyoshi has only just graduated from the academy, so how the hell is he going to deal with that? Why should you resign? He again tries to push this whole thing. It's like, just marry me instead. Merge your unit with mine, and that'll be great. That's not going to go. Tsurugi agrees because he's, of course, gained a lot of respect for Kiyoshi in the last several arcs, and says, like, yes, Sanguis has weakened as a unit, and reinforcing them in the top 3 knighthoods should be a top priority. It makes sense that they weakened. It probably, lost some people in that fight. And he reflects on how Kiyoshi has reflected the proper values of a Cross Paladin and says he's a quintessential Cross Paladin. So he speaks up in favor of this. And the headmaster says, "Okay, yeah, so 2-1 in favor. So since the other 2 who would be here have abstained, Kiyoshi Hirai will become a Cross..." someone doesn't break the window. Someone vaporizes a perfect circle in the window and flies through it. And it's Utsugi, Hijiri's older brother, another cross paladin, whom we did have some hints of, like in the flashbacks that we saw, but didn't get a whole lot of information on him from those. But he's all smiles. Tenno like says like, "You've damaged property." And he's like, I'll just pay for it later, or I'll chill about it. He tries to, I guess, pet Kurogane on the head, and she bats it away. And then he tries to glomp. I keep wanting to say Hijiri, but Tsurugi, we'll call him in this case. And after all being all smiles for a bit, he says like, "All right, so the whole Kiyoshi Hirai. Where is Kiyoshi Hirai? Isn't he supposed to be here? He's not here? All right, I'm gone." So he immediately is like going to leave because Kiyoshi's not there. And the headmaster has to be like, "Wait, we need to like hear your opinion on the matter." And he does say like, "I get the whole thing, like why Kurogane is stepping down, so that makes sense to me. But Kiyoshi Hirai, yuck." Big grin on his face when he says it too, just yuck. And he says, "Yeah, that guy works at Tenma's, Sakaki's. Just bring him back. Bring back Sakaki to fill the role. Not a bad candidate, sure." But he says like he's got all the leadership experience. He's perfect for the job. And then he turns to his younger brother and he says to Tsurugi, "Hey, Hirai or me? Who's stronger?" And Tsurugi doesn't answer instantly. And so his reaction is like, "Wait, you have to think about it? Damn. All right. I guess it makes sense since he beat the Demon Lord, but I'm still against him being appointed to Cross Paladin. I only believe what I've seen with my own two eyes." And then he leaves, and he leaves too quickly for anyone to stop him. This, of course, introduces a problem, which is that 5 people were supposed to vote on this. 1 is abstained due to absence, and it's a tie outside of that. So how do you settle the vote? They turn their attention to other things. As the headmaster says, in regards to Kiyoshi Hirai, it will all depend on Shishido,
who presumably will meet sometime soon.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. I was like, oh, one of the members of the council is just not here. And, ooh, yeah, it creates intrigue immediately.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are not done with the chapter, though, because, remember, Kiyoshi had to go to the frickin' hospital. The Hitsugi Exorcist General Hospital, where Sosuke's father works. And as Kiyoshi stands outside the hospital, he's like, "I've never been to a hospital before," which is kind of wild. But it's because, like, his grandmother, apparently, while he was training, would just be like, put some spit on it, he's fine. Neglectful. He says to himself, if only Hitsugi were here, meaning Sosuke, and Sosuke is there. And he's like, "What are you doing here?" It's my family's hospital. So he leads Sosuke leads Kiyoshi inside. They talk a little bit about the fact that, again, that Kiyoshi's precept power has not returned. Kiyoshi wants to know how Sosuke's arm is doing, and he says it's fine, it's doing good. He also is like using it as well, and it's not even bandaged up when we see it. So then we have them meeting the director of the hospital, Sosuke's father, Chosuke Hitsugi. And he greets Kiyoshi as if he and Sosuke are just straight up friends, because he's like, "Oh, thank you for taking care of my foolhardy son." And Sosuke's like, I never gave you the impression that he was taking care of me. Fuck you. Fuck you, Dad. But Chosuke congratulates him, thanks him for protecting everyone, and says, "I'm going to get you back in top shape." He's a good doctor. Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, he says, because of all the urgent cases that have come in, we don't have any beds available in the hospital. So Kiyoshi is ordered to stay at the Hitsugi mansion with all of Sosuke's very loving maid and butler staff. we're like, yeah, this Harai fella's gonna be staying here with us for a couple of weeks. And Sosuke's like, oh, why? And Kiyoshi's like, sleepover with my friends.
That's good stuff. It's nice to get a little bit of like the fun dorky Kiyoshi again. Like a reminder of like, oh right, this character used to be like very fun and had like a, you know, amusing personality. I think this is actually a pretty good chapter for Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi. It is interesting because we are now actively seeing it like have to be like build its own world that it wasn't necessarily planning to before. And hey, we thought Cross Paladin was one thing. Now we need like a Gote 13, and you know, we need like members. And we get introduced to 3 of them in this chapter. 2 of them directly, and then one of them just like in this mystique and in the name. So like all of those are really effective. I thought they were cool. Getting to meet Daddy was awesome. He's he's very hunky and a cool character. No, I thought
You're
everything
immediately off of the tall guy, and it's like, oh, Daddy's here.
Tall Guy didn't have glasses, so that's a pretty damaging factor, unfortunately. Also, I'm like 90% certain he's the doll controlling like a meat suit body of some kind. So, yeah, just kind of avoiding that. Anyways, cool chapter. Liked everything in there, and I'm excited to just see shenanigans, I guess, again.
Speaking of dolls controlling bodies, Quinn, chapter 139 of MarriageToxin. Oh no. Yeah, so we have just had a reveal that Gero has been falling into the plans of the doll user during the course of his whole ass adventure of Nasu's plan. And Gero's not backing down. He starts to use his poison and dope himself up so that he can go into full all-out fight mode against Nasu. Goes in to attack as Nasu's like, oh, you must be curious about what I've been doing. And he's like, oh, I don't give a crap. Tries to attack him, and Nasu just dodges his injection needles and cross counters him, punches him in the face. And I like the detail that, like, oh right, he's the doll user. He can just move in ways that a doll can. So he moves his head way around in order to pivot it out of the way of the attack. Natsu, in short order, takes credit for isolating Himekawa from her friends, introducing her to Takarazuka, and then for orchestrating the double booking of Gero and Akakura on that recent protection mission, for giving power to the ironclad inferiors and launching an attack on Nabe, and on getting the vendetta against Chateau Honori going, all to push Gero closer to his various love interests by isolating them from everyone else and forcing him to save the day, essentially. And as all this is happening, Gero keeps on using more and more doping poison supplements.
He's at 3 in this chapter.
He keeps on doing it, and it just doesn't make a difference. Nasu just instantly knocks him down, dodges his attacks, and strikes him once to knock him on his ass. And Gero has to reconcile with the fact that this man taught me my techniques. He knows everything that I can do. So Nasu says, I'm not going to take credit for every single little detail, which I do appreciate, because obviously, like, there is certain implications that are made here of like, oh, like the reason why Gero is kind of pushed towards X person or Y person is, well, you know, for example, Ushio is a water user specialist. There are, you know, various specialists and people who have various resources. There's a protector and stuff. But there are also, you know, like there's Shiori's friend, and it's like there's nothing really that special about her. So he doesn't take credit for every single thing that has happened. And I like that we have that freedom to interpret things in a paranoid capacity of like, hey, how legitimate was this and how much of it was manipulated, while also being assured not everything was false. It's not like there was no agency on Gero's part during all of this. But the example that Nasu gives, it was with Ushio saying like, hey, I did, like, you know, push the Fire Clan to accelerate the clan's decay, but all of it was like already in place. I just kind of gave it a nudge. I didn't orchestrate everything. But then he starts dropping some bombs on Garo that are very concerning. Like, surely you must have found it odd. Why would the Garo family be in possession of medication for airborne contact dermatitis? And then, as Garo's reacting to that, he grabs him and throws him to the floor and says, Akakura's family is related to poison users. Their family is likely ignorant of their origins as they were evicted many years ago, but your high compatibility in fighting together and her ability to use the Garo family's lifespan, you must have found the coincidences curious. Having said that, I never intended to deceive these ladies. My sole objective was to assist you, Hikaru-sama, in finding a wife. And Garo's like, wait, what? What? And Nasu says, it was a triumphant success. The ladies all developed feelings, didn't they? Every single one. And Garo starts to say something, and Nasu says, oh, you're stumped over which one to marry, yes? That is certainly the customary feeble mindset. Hikaru-sama, you are the successor of the Garo family. You will take all of them as your wives, every single one. And it's this kind of page, Quinn, that reminds me of why I like MarriageToxin so much, which is we get a vision of like the harem ending for Garo. And all the girls do look beautiful and tantalizing, but they're all dressed like, normally. This could have been so much worse than it is actually drawn in terms of like the harem that I'm building for you.
You mean like if it was portrayed to us as an actual like harem with like concubines?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thankfully they're all just in their waifu wedding dresses for the springtime event, and they all look great.
Yeah, all of them looking happy except Ushio, who's a tsundere, so that's fine.
Yeah, she shouldn't. It would be actually kind of wrong if she was. Yeah, Nick, the harem ending is the bad ending.
Yes, this is so wild. I want to talk a little bit about Memorial. Let's get through the chapter. But yeah, Nasu says, wouldn't you feel bad for all the girls you didn't choose? And this gets Garo like additionally pissed off. And he goes for his ultimate move, channels his power into his hands, and goes for Poison Blood Unleashed Burst of Light. And Nasu's like, yeah, that's it. Come at me.
Do it, bro.
Grabs him by the wrist. Shoot me. And that's where we end the chapter.
Yeah, it's not going to go well for Garo, unfortunately. No. Yeah, lots of big reveals in this. I know some people were upset at some of the reveal implications for Chinatsu. And I can kind of get that. I think I'm generally kind of like, I'm not like stunned by all this. It's been cool to get like an explanation about that fire guy peeking down from the ceiling and stuff like that. But the reveal about like why all them are there ultimately just to get to the harem ending, which is like a cool detail. But this was like fun to build up to that moment where it's just like, no, dude, you're going to marry them all. Every single one of them. I'm just going to put them right here. They all love you, dude. This is great.
Yeah, there's no problems with this, right?
Nasu's becoming an entertaining antagonist in this way. Like, he is truly just, his brain's warped at this point. And he's just like, no, man, this is all going great. We're having such a great relationship right now.
We have read so many series, Quinn, in which, the entire point of doing the series is like, look at this guy surrounded by all of these interesting and sexy women. What an ideal situation for a guy to be in, where all these women are surrounding him and stuff. The idea of, yeah, that's a bad thing, that's the evil villain plot, is such an interesting approach to things. Because it's not as if it negates the stuff that we have gotten between the characters. Like, none of them were faking their feelings. None of them faked the fact that they had those legitimate bonds with Garo and did fall in love with him, and he grew to like them as well. But the fact that they are in this manipulated situation is, it's problematic and it's something for them to overcome. And it's also helps to justify, like, okay, yeah, like, this happened because a bad guy was causing it to happen, as opposed to, can you believe that this happened? And, of course, there's the very real fact that, yeah, but the actual true love interest is not included in this. Presumably because they can't bear Garrow's kids.
Yes.
So...
Well, that's, yeah, you just get reminded, like, true ending for this is going to be the gay relationship. I'm so pumped for it every day.
And there's so many things that we have seen indicate that, do play into this. Like how we saw some of the characters here were in Garrow's life in some form or another, at least briefly, well before the series took place. And of course, that is also true of Kinosaki. And it makes you wonder, hey, if Natsu has been manipulating things to this extent, how involved has he been with Kinosaki? And Kinosaki's helping Garrow with all of these girls. Like, is anything that Kinosaki did to help him, was any of it for the sake of helping the doll user's plan, as opposed to legitimately helping him to find someone that he loved? Because we know that they're connected somehow. So there's a lot of things to have both, like, have doubts and paranoia about, while also leaving the window open of, like, okay, it doesn't delegitimize everything necessarily, which I feel is a very good threading the needle review that we have here.
Yeah. No, I'm super excited, and I want to see what happens next week, because I don't think it's going to be the doll user gets exploded in half because they take the shot point blank. So,
yeah. All right. From one perfect harem setup to another, Quinn. New Exorcist, chapter 113. Pain! Someone's arm got taken off in New Exorcist. Who would have thunk it?
It's Suzaku. What do you mean, Nick?
I know it's Suzaku, but, like, someone's arm came off in New Exorcist.
Oh yeah,
what?
I mean, I think actually maybe 2 arms may have came off, and I think she had multiple arms at that point.
Oh, well. Yep, so Gakuro got super strong. Suzaku's reacting to that and is like, oh my god, he was so harmless, and that harmless bridegroom a few seconds ago has vanished in the blink of an eye. Yep, she thinks to herself, memories I'd buried deep a rampaging. Memories of the time I was sealed. I fully, like, skipped this bit. When I first read this, I was like, I don't care about any of this. I don't care who Suzaku is as a person. None of it's been interesting. I can't focus when she's just going on about herself. But her whole thing is like, my family was destroyed and I was sealed away by Nue's lone contractor, and the look in his eyes is similar. My instincts are telling me I must kill him because he'll surely harm me and my family. And she, to herself, tries to pull off the, I think we're going to have to kill this guy meme, but, like, the girl that she's saying it to is not there, so she's not in it either. Like, it's... so it's not very satisfying. And then she's a bird now! A bird with big, gross wings! And, yeah, Ishi's like, oh no, I've only seen her take this form once before, during the Great Exorcist War 1,000 years ago, because Ishi's 1,000 years old. Remember? That's been a very relevant plot detail to this point, that she's 1,000 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have a problem with that world-building detail. It just really seems like we didn't know anything about Ishu except before we just saw her stalking Gakuro, and that was just kind of an introduction to her. Anyway, so Suzaku is going to burn everything and burn it to ash. And Ichi's like, oh no! And Gakuro pets her on the head and says, it's all right. Also, my hand got really distorted in this one shot. I don't know what's going on with it. It's all clumpy and stuff. And then he takes his sword out. Oh man, he's got a sword. And Nue says, well, that's a shock. His compatibility with my hollow weapon and his will to protect you have generated enormous power. That's not a shock. That's what he does every single time. It's an important time to have an important fight.
I was going to say, it never doesn't happen. So at this point, it should be the norm. You should be like, you as like human beings, you should be like your neurons should be lighting up to recognize the pattern that every time this boy holds a sword, he gets stronger.
Yep. So Gakuro's super strong now. Nue says he's acquired power temporarily beyond my star slave. K. Suzaku, who's a bird now, goes, I'm gonna kill you. And Gakuro says, let's go, Suzaku! And they fly towards each other. Beak! Sword! Hata! And Suzaku's like, I'll make for the surface and burn everything to ash. I'm a bird now. And Gakuro again blocks it, and she goes, he's even stronger now? Sure! Why not? He just gets stronger. Okay. There wasn't even a cool visual for him getting stronger this time. He just was stronger. Ishu is standing behind Gakuro as he continues to hold back the attack. Suzaku thinks, Ishu, no doubt you'll never direct your smile at me again. And Gakuro Yajima, aid Gakuro Yajima all you like, I don't mind. Even if those hands of yours never touch me again, I swear I'll give all I have for you and the rest of my family by pecking him. Isn't she supposed to have fire powers, Quinn? Isn't she supposed to be a phoenix? Like, that's what she is. Why is she just trying to stab him with her beak?
I don't know. I feel like the fire was relevant for one chapter, and then now that it's no longer relevant, it's been dropped. They'll be like, she actually has wind powers. Like, with the fire powers, she could just kind of turn into anything else.
Suzaku is drawing in more strength, which Ishu goes, how does she have that much power when she's hurt so badly? And Niue goes, it's because she's burning her own life as fuel, and her body is going behind her. Burning up. And Gakuro's going, Glarg! So Suzaku tries to finish off Gakuro. Ishu jumps in, wouldn't you know it, puts her hands directly on Suzaku's burning face. And Suzaku's like, no, you're going to be burned. And Ishu says, it's fine. I'm sorry, Lady Suzaku. I knew about your suffering. And meanwhile, sealed within the Phoenix form is like Suzaku's, like, or this is when she was sealed, I think.
Yes.
She was surrounded by fire. Chained up.
Yes.
So she was constantly being seared in constant agony. And yet she couldn't die. But then she met her family, and while I was with them, thinking of them, only then could I ease my pain. I had acquired such happiness that I stopped wishing for death. And we get a flashback to, I don't know, 800 years ago, whatever, to when Ishu was a little girl. And Ishu was like, is something hurting you, Lady Suzaku? And Suzaku's like, what makes you think that? And he's just like, Lady Suzaku and I are basically the same person, so I know everything about her. Again, what do we know about Ishu? What do we know about her? Because I feel like this is introducing information that is supposed to be a reference to previously learned information. And I don't know if it's because my brain doesn't work when I read this series or if it legitimately has just never been brought up prior to this.
The very real possibility.
Her logic is a little cute.
I was going to say, there is a very real possibility that this is just like something that was like brought up like 12 chapters ago in like a panel. And it's just like, it's now relevant again. And you're just like, I guess, I don't remember. Did you bring this up? Are these all new details about you? Do you still turn your hair into things?
So Ishu reached out to Suzaku in this moment and went, Pain Bane, go away. And in that moment, her energy absorption ability blossomed. Okay? And again, her energy absorption ability takes no physical form that we can actually see. So, okay. In the present, she says, I'm sorry that I couldn't do anything because I noticed that you were wishing for death and yet I did nothing. And Suzaku says, no, I don't wish for that. My family is my reason for living. As long as all of you are here, that's enough. And I won't stop. Let me kill your boyfriend. And Ishu says, I can feel what you're feeling, Lady Suzaku, and it hurts. So please, please rest. And Suzaku's like, no, I don't care what happens to me. But as she continues to try and charge forward, the phoenix form disappears around her, leaving behind her humanoid form. And she realizes, I've run out of life to burn. And Ichi says, Gakuro, please do it now. And Suzuki is like, I'm not done yet. And Gakuro goes, right, kill your mom. Okay.
So, Nick, I think I kind of like this chapter, and Suzuku might be my MVP this week.
What?
I don't know why. Everything you joked about kind of worked for me. I don't know why. The series is so constantly writing backwards. Like, it'll do something and then it'll be like, well, actually, hold on. Let me try to do a little bit better this time. And I don't know why this chapter, which tried to give Suzuku some like connection to this family she's just had and shows this extreme loyalty towards, I do kind of like this moment that it's like, yeah, she has them because she was imprisoned before in absolute and utter agony, and they saved her from that. I don't know how. That would have been kind of interesting to see, because they're just a bunch of like butlers and maids. I don't know what they did, but I kind of appreciate that now her weird obsession with family feels like there's a slight bit of humanity to it. And look, the bar is so low, Nick. It's so low in this series. Any small bit of decent development works for me so much.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't care. Like, I'm not disappointed or anything. I was like, all right, you enjoyed it. Okay.
I felt disappointment, though, in that moment from you.
I'm not disappointed because New Sections makes me feel so little so much of the time that I don't dislike anyone who actually likes it. Like, I can't form enough of an opinion of it. Like, anyway, Akane-banashi, chapter 173. Yeah. Different standards, like apparently what you and I have. I'm kidding.
I'm gonna go for a little bit. No, never mind. I remembered. I ate all my olives earlier. I have nowhere to go.
Oh gosh. Story 173. Different standards. Karashi, Akane's one true and only rival, has just finished up his performance for the competition. And Kashi was observing this, being like, this guy was, even before joining the school that he was at with the Sanmete, he was praised for his creativity, but he didn't have proper skill as a performer. And now that he has added his creative flavor to the technique he gained through Zenza training, he has evolved. And this is the result for Karashi Sanmete. The MC is like, all right, let's send it over to the judges. But before he can get anywhere even into that, Shomei holds up his hand and says, hold on. I'm sorry for interrupting, but I want to clarify something. And he addresses Karashi and he says, in your story, the boss character says they're in the business of selling information. And I wanted to ask about that. And Karashi takes the microphone from the MC and he says, the modern word for information, Joho, did not appear until the Meiji era. But being tied to a raft and banished downstream was a punishment of the Edo area. So you're addressing the mismatch of words and setting. And Shomei says, yes. If you knew what you were doing, why did you do it? And Karashi very simply says, to make the reason he could see through the boy's lies clear to the audience. And Shomei's like, that lowers the quality of the story. And Karashi says, I suppose we have different standards then. In my opinion, it actually increases it. Logical consistency and thoroughness are important, but there's no quality that trumps ease of understanding. The goal of mass entertainment for the common person is to reach as wide an audience as possible. So Shomei adjusts his glasses and says, that will do. Results 95, 96, and from Shomei, 87.
That's a good number.
Good score. Enough for him to beat Hikaru by 2 points and put him in into first place. And Shomei is the only person that we actually hear commentary from. And he says, after that exchange we had, I understand your intent, but it does not suit me. Words can change depending on the direction and intent of the story. With Okiku's plates, I was able to overlook the deviation because of its modern rearrangement. But a false classic is valued specifically for its ability to evoke the traditional classics, and your approach thus creates some unnecessary friction. However, that point only stands because your Rakugo possessed a certain level of craftsmanship that it shares with the classics. And he gives particular attention to the kabuki performance that Karashi did in the middle of it, and saying, you used all that to set up a punchline later. That was incredibly skillful on your part. You performed brilliantly. And once I understood that we have that difference in ideals, I lessened the penalty I assessed to you. So he says, like, your good points outweigh the demerits.
Yes.
But he's still very much like doing this in the form of like an actual judge of the content, as opposed to like, a fun show judge.
Yeah.
So
he is giving like actual educator level feedback, and not just being like, dog, you were killing it, B, you were going crazy. I don't, what did they sound like on American Idol, Nick?
It is in a way as if we had like American Idol judges, except instead of having the stereotypical mean judge, it's a college professor reviewing your doctorate presentation. And the judge who knows Rakugo stuff is like, that was a really good review from him. So for someone trying to create their own Rakugo, that's quite an accomplishment for him. Mm-hmm. After getting the rest of his judgment, Karashi heads backstage, and he thinks judgment from Shomei was good, hurdles cleared, and today's feedback wasn't lip service this time, I don't think. And he remembers way back when, during the rookie performance, Isho saying, "Oh yeah, I thought it was well done." And he's like, "Yeah, different from that." Mm-hmm. He was like, "Good for a beginner." No, this was actual proper feedback. And he imagines a Jenga tower and putting a block on the top of it. Hikaru comes in, says, "Congrats on your temporary first place." Which, like, you're not allowed to say that to the person who just beat you. Come on. Karashi looks over at her, and Hikaru is like, "What's that look for?" And Karashi says, "I'm actually thinking about what a good loser you're being." And she says, "Shut up. I'm not that mature. I am frustrated. I am angry, but I ain't getting anywhere if I don't accept the results. Plus, my competition ain't over yet." She just cares about being Akane. This girl is obsessed. And we get a flashback from Karashi from an exchange that he had with Akane from way back when, where she asks, like, "Why did you want to be a Rakugoka?" And he reflects, "Yeah, she was probably just like making conversation while we were walking in the same direction. And I was the one who made the decision, so I've got no regrets. But the thing is, the one who really dragged me into this world was you. I don't just want to win. I want to beat you at your best." And at that moment, he turns, and Hikaru turns, as Akane starts walking past them towards the stage. Yep.
Yeah. I am super excited to see Akane do something. It's been a little bit. I was super excited, but I also really appreciated this as like the closure of Karashi's story. I really love that moment where he just kind of basks in getting like good, honest, constructive feedback, and like knowing that it's like, oh, this was more than just good job. Like, this is someone who actually worked through what I did and is giving me real thoughts. Like that. And also I enjoyed Karashi having this back and forth with like this loser ghost that showed up that
Loser ghost.
It was a valuable, interesting scene to add into the middle of this chapter. So yeah, a good chapter all around.
I did see the our wonderful chat. I can't remember who, but someone posted a Jeb Bush meme with Karashi's victory pose in front of the electoral map. My only objection to it is I wish that the other two names on it were Akane and Hikaru. Would have been the last little detail I would want, but very good because God, what a pose he's doing! Ah,
I do. It is the moment I saw it, I was like, I hope someone Jeb Bush memed this one.
Absolutely.
All right, Nick, do we want to wrap this up then with One Piece, chapter 1159, The Island of Fate?
Well, Quinn, that is the last chapter that we normally discuss, so our options are to close with that or to just stop here and not talk about it.
Don't you just don't the intrusive thoughts ever win where you just want to do the second one and see what happens?
Let's just not do it. Let's see what happens
Nick,
if we don't talk about
just bail.
Just
bail. All right. Yeah, One Piece. We'll do that. So Yamato is continuing his adventure with Page 1 and Uni. So that's cool. Or Ulti. So we open our chapter in the flashback. There is a big hubbub going on because the person they had guarding the bar has been killed and Shiki has been kidnapped. Oh no! We even see the lady who looks like John Shinjao is probably the one who sold it out and managed to get Shiki kidnapped, and everyone's real upset. Literally, the world economy was stagnant. Like, it fell because everyone was so upset that this beautiful woman was kidnapped, including Gold Roger, who was real upset. I guess his name's Goldie Roger, but it's easier to say Gold Roger. Cut over to God Valley. Garling has showed up, and the mother of Shanks and Shamrock is like, "Oh my gosh, it's your father. I knew he'd come back. It's the twins. Hey, we're gonna live with you now." And he's like, "Oh, I mean, sure, they can live with me. It's just not gonna be here. This island's gonna cease to exist in just a moment." Honestly, I don't know why I'm talking to you, and he just shoots her.
Quinn, this series is so old, and this guy in the span of about 4 pages is just like, "Oh, I am at the top of like the worst people in the world." He's so evil.
He is very, very evil. It's very funny. He has like a small evil off a little bit later in this chapter. But yes, the celestial dragons are here, and they're giving their soldiers like stun guns because it's time to gather up all the citizens to hunt them. And we see a brief snapshot of Monkey D. Dragon, the future revolutionary leader and father of Luffy, still a Marine at this point, as he is on this mission in God Valley. And yeah, we have to now watch him have his crisis of faith because he's like, "No, it's fine. I'm shooting tranquilizers. I'm not killing anybody. We're not doing something super duper evil here right now."
Dragon's a lot older than I thought that he was. This is 39 years ago. Like, I understand that Luffy is his son, and Luffy's now like 17, 19, something like that. But this means that Dragon is like late 50s or something.
Yeah, it would make sense. He seems a bit aged, a bit zaddy, as the kids would say.
Okay.
So
I'm not dismissing you. It's just I don't have a point of reference for this, so I can't really engage it.
You're all good. So we cut over to...
I'm sorry, I'm so straight.
You're good, bud. I love and appreciate you every day. So the Navy prison ship, we cut over to there. It's carrying the slaves. We're sort of reintroducing us to the fact that, like, oh yeah, Kuma's backstory intersects here. So we get to see Kuma and Ivankov and Ginny again for a brief little moment as they're all going through their things. And then we see the individual who leaks to the world all this information at the time. Not big news. He's just small news, Morgan.
Small news, Morgan.
So yeah.
This is absolutely Morgan's during his pot smoking teenage years. Look at the expression on that bird's face.
Oh yeah, he's had a great.
Yeah, day. Man. Let's break the news, man.
He's floating right now. So yes, the info is leaked Shaky is still alive. However, she has been kidnapped to God Valley. And there is a lot of hubbub about it. Everyone seems really excited. And Rox uses this opportunity to be like, all right, like, let's gather the team. We're going to get her. If you're not committed to this, then stay here. Everyone else, we're going to God's Valley. Cut over to the Roger Pirates. Gold Roger.
Where is God Valley?
Yeah, they're all like, where is it? We got to get there. But everyone agrees. We even see Rayleigh is like in the front, like, you know, blushing, like, no questions asked. We got to get her back, basically.
Because he actually loves her, Quinn.
Yes. And because Roger is getting involved with this, that means Garp is heard word, and he is going to get involved with this at this point.
All this shit is happening. It's like, there's all this pirate activity going on. I don't care. Roger's going to be there. Let's go!
I mean, if my rival's going to be there. Cut over to the giant pirates who run into the Rocks pirates. And Harold's like, hey, I was told to stop you guys. But, like, you see there's, like, boats in the distance, right? Like, we've got Governor Monders. Like, we are going to arrest you this time. And Rock steps up and is like, hey, can we talk in private, bud? So they have a conversation. They share a drink separate from the rest of the cruise. And Rock says, hey, so I've got this hidden name. My real name's actually Davy D. Zebek. Rox is a name I made up. It's the name of a clan that I suspect the world government has been long since trying to cover up. The descendants of the legendary pirate Davy D. Jones. And
whose family name was Davy,
yes,
not Jones.
Davy. It's basically the remnants of the Davy clan have managed to survive because they all went to the criminal underworld and just kind of survived living under the radar. Rox, though, or Davy, I guess, I don't know. Zebek, says, so, hey, my timing's either really good or it's really bad. So 2 years ago, I have a kid. And, like, I wanted to make sure nothing I did fell back to them, so I sent them back to my homeland and to seek out the Davy clan for help. That's God Valley. So, and Harold is immediately like, so the government did this to lure you in? And Zebek, I guess, is like, nah, I don't think they knew about this. They don't want me there. And that's why this is a miscalculation on their part. So, like, it feels like something's pulling at the strings here at this point. Kidnapping Shaky, that was, you know, a fatal mistake for them. And as long as my wife and kid escape, I don't care about the rest. So, whoever's side fortune is on, Harold, it doesn't feel like mine. So lend me your aid. And
yeah. Rock's revealing that he's been going full Bret Hart over here, going on journeys and stuff, lusting after Shaky. It's like, yeah, I got a wife and kid at home. All right.
You're like, yeah. Harold says, no, I'd actually rather sink your ship. And Harold's just like, fine, is that your choice? And so be it. You know, Zebek goes to head off the boat, and Harold's like, hey, don't attack him. Honorable thing, let him go. And the first thing Rox does when he gets back on his ship is shoot their ship. Yeah, he just hits it with cannon fire immediately, and it's like, yeah, you soft coward, basically. Cut over to a slave auction. They're posing Shaky up there, basically revealing that she is the prize for this event. And
she's beautiful, as one of the nobles says.
Yes.
Full 2 syllables in butte there.
Good for him. There is also the notable discussion that whoever wins gets Shaky as the prize, whether it is to be a wife or a slave, whatever it shall be. And this is where we get the evil off between Garland and Summers, who Garland is like, she's my wife, and Summers is like, don't be stupid. If I win, she's my slave. So it's like, okay, I guess Garland is the slightly better option of the two there, but he did shoot a woman earlier this chapter, so I don't think he's winning any daddy points.
That's what you do when you want to go on to a different wife. You have to shoot the previous one. Obviously.
That is rather...
This is the problem with Rox's approach. He wants to have both. He can't do that. If he wanted to pursue Shaky as a romantic option, he should have gone back home, killed his wife, and...
I wasn't expecting this Garling defense from Nick. He's like, no, this is a very logical way to approach things. He killed his last wife, he's free for a new one.
Quinn, we are consumers of shonen manga, and every now and again, somebody has to stand the worst person in the manga. It's a contractual obligation of every fan base that someone has to go, no. There is a good reason he's doing this.
Yeah, so they have their little thing. We also get a little tease of Gunko from somebody with a big stupid hat that I'm sure Nick hates. And we end the chapter with the reveal of Dragon running into Teach, and Teach being Blackbeard, and his mother, who, well, there's a trail of blood, so it's not looking great for her. And
he stumbled into this area to protect Marshall. Yeah.
And we get the end of the chapter is the announcement that it's like, hey, yes, in addition to the Buccaneer boy serving as the super rare rabbit, we found out there's another target on this island, the Davy clan. So things are heating up. Nick, do you think we will find the entire backstory of the God Valley incident here? Or do you think we're just going to get the stuff relevant to Harold?
I don't know, man. I don't know about where this flashback's going.
Hey, man, I just work here. I don't know.
I just show up every week, clock in, read the One Piece chapter, and clock out. And I just kind of expect that the guys up top know what they're doing, and then I'm just going to be a cog in the machine that reads the manga that they put out. And I just trust that they know what they're doing. I will say that there are some details of this that I found to be more intriguing. Having Dragon be involved caught me by surprise, but I was like, oh, okay. And I did appreciate that we have already, like, the last flashback that we had went over some of the stuff that is now being covered again. So I kind of appreciate that there is a level of continuity between these as more stuff is overlapping in the lore being revealed about stuff. So to your point about like how much of this will be revealed, it could very well be the case as like, yeah, we'll finish up this flashback, go back into the arc proper with One Piece, because this has been going on for a considerable time at this point, and then learn more details about it later, because there is that precedent for continuity between the flashbacks too.
I was gonna say, once it gets to the more relevant, like Blackbeard, Davy clan stuff, then we'll maybe get that section of the flashback. Also, the audience is correcting me that Dragon looks like he runs into Shank's mother, who we know did get shot, because she's talking about getting her children off the island, and then it cuts to a separate scene of Blackbeard's mom presumably doing that. Sorry, I did get mixed up there. Yeah, but otherwise, fun little chapter, some cool little stuff. I had fun.
Yeah, establishing a connection between Dragon and Shanks is, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense in terms of everything. And then I do also appreciate that we don't see Teach's mom, which makes me think like, well, in that case, we might see her later, and maybe she'll be a level of importance.
I'm starting to get annoyed. I'm starting to feel like we're never going to see these moms. Like, we never saw Ace's mom. We haven't seen Shank's mom. I'm like, I just feel like if we
never saw them yet, Quinn.
We better see them all. I'm starting to get annoyed by like important characters having invisible silhouette moms, basically.
It's like their father who sailed the 7 seas and conquered numerous villages. Their mother, who was a woman who gave birth to them. Yeah, I get you there. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. MVP chapter of the week, Nick.
It's tricky. I kind of want to give it to just Ichi the Witch, I feel like. Because, it was an exciting chapter in terms of the stuff that we learned about it. There was some cool character interactions and it had Desscaras being cool.
Yeah.
But there were there wasn't. It felt like a really huge standout this week.
Oh, no. Slam dunk,
But
Ping-Pong
you're gonna
Peril.
tell me why.
Yeah, Ping-Pong Peril. No, that chapter is so ridiculous. It's so bonkers. The idea that Tyra is like, smash the table. That's my way through this. I'm going to break the table so you have no table left to actually score points off of. And then by the end of the chapter, the rest of the table's broken, and there's still like a 5-point difference. Like, I'm instantly hooked. I can't wait to see more. We didn't even talk about how this dude sees a girl in a skirt and immediately gets enough of a boner to kick his magical testosterone power back into action. Like, this series rules.
My character of the week. Oh, I think MVP for me is going to be Nasu from MarriageToxin for kicking Garo's ass and revealing his horrible machinations of giving Garo lots of girlfriends.
All right, Nick. I think my character of the week is going to be Kanna from Hima-Ten. No. I guess I'm going to have to do Suzaku from New Exorcist then?
I'm just going to hold my expression, and I'm going to let you come to your own conclusion. I'm not going to put any pressure on you.
I think ultimately it's going to go to Jinka Shirone from Ichi the Witch, who I think really kind of became more interesting to me in this chapter. I'm like immediately now kind of locked into that character a lot more. And I really appreciate
an actual character in this chapter. In the previous one, it felt like.
Yes. So I really did like that. But I do want to give special shout out to Suzaku from New Exorcist for, just stepping over the bar. That's all it needed to do, and it succeeded.
It was lying on the floor.
Usually they trip over it, so I can't. But this time they did just step over it. The audience, by the way, got to scroll across, picked Akane-banashi as the chapter of the week and Desscaras from Ichi the Witch as the character of the week. Makes a lot of sense.
Those 6. Yeah, yep. Absolutely. That is it for Weekly Manga Recap, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on twitch.tv/Reality, where we record the show Wednesday evenings starting usually around 7:30 to 8 Eastern time. But if you want to know exactly when the show goes live, then you can follow us on social media. On BlueSky, she is Reloti, I am Nick F. Time, and then there is also Weekly Manga Recap, just the official BlueSky podcast account. And also, WMR Votes is on there. Follow that to know when the voting goes live for MVP and favorite series voting, as Quinn just announced a minute ago. You can also join our Discord server, which will be linked wherever this gets posted to. Through that, you can go to the Google Doc, where we keep track of all the statistics associated with the show, series we have covered, ask a question to be covered on a Q&A episode in the future, recommend a series for us to talk about. All that stuff can be found through the Google Doc maintained by Ninja X3i and the Discord server. We post the show on YouTube in video version, which has an opening sequence by Milo Jack Cheddar and Milo Jack Stillitz and Winslow Cheddar. Sorry, I combined them into their
Gogeta form. Yeah.
And occasional title art by Steve Mann on that as well. That's youtube.com/Weekly Manga Recap. But in audio form, we post it to weeklymangarecap.podbean.com. It's also available through Spotify and iTunes and all the podcast feed type places. And yeah, we'll be back for more next week. If you want even more Weekly Manga Recap content, you can support us on Patreon. Become a $5 backer, you get access to all the bonus episodes, including some that we got in the oven that you're going to want to check out, I think. That's patreon.com/Weekly Manga Recap if you want to help support the show financially and get access to bonus content.
Yeah.
And we'll see y'all next week.
That's going to do it. We have nothing else to give. Well, I have $10. Who wants $10?
I mean, I do want $10, but I'm not going to put you out on that.
I mean, I can just Venmo it to you right now. Is that a good ending bit? I Venmo Nick $10.
It doesn't seem like a very sustainable ending gimmick.
Oh yeah, like Nick, it was a big pop last time. Everyone was going crazy when I sent you $10. So I gotta send you $20 this week.
Gotta raise the stakes. It like increases exponentially every time.
I gotta send you $100 this week. You're like, no, you can't be doing it by 10. You're gonna be in trouble real quick.
It's really bad. You know that grain of rice thing? It's way worse than that.
Bye, everybody.